Hello everyone, I am Doodlemanz86 and today I am going to be reviewing the terrifying Godzilla that won an Oscar, the Godzilla Minus One Sh Monsterarts figure. Based on his terrifying appearance in Minus One, this figure utilizes creature engineering that appears all throughout the figure to make him look fit and neat without gaps. This guy looks really good and he has a very nice appearance, but with a high price of $140 without accessories, let's see if he is worth picking up. Taking a look at the box here, it is the traditional Sh Monsterarts box, and it looks really nice. I think this has to be one of my favorite boxes of all time. The pure white, like the poster, but then we have the G with Godzilla in there and all the nice effects. That just looks really fantastic. And we have the Minus One there. Reminds me of the moments we first saw that. That was really cool. We have Godzilla on the bottom there, and here he is on the side, which also looks really cool. This is so awesome. I love that. And the plastic window here is actually in the shape of the G and Minus One, and you can see the figure inside, which is just so awesome. That just looks really nice. And we have Yuji Sakai, promo pics. And yeah, that is the box. I love this. This has to be one of my favorite boxes of all time. So without further ado, let's get to the figure. As always with my Sh Monsterarts reviews, I'm going to be starting with the articulation. So Godzilla here moves really nice. So first up at the mouth here, we have the tongue, which actually goes up and down, which is really cool. And the jaw is on a hinge. And as you can see, there's a really cool mechanism here where the flesh membrane inside moves with the jaw, which I think looks so great. And the detailing looks so nice. So I think that just looks fantastic. I love that. Then here in the neck, we have some ball joints with one at the head here. We have one here at the neck, midway, and then we have one at the base of the neck, which is where we get into another cool mechanism, which is the movement of the spines. So these spines go back and forth, and as you can see, these ones in particular, when you push the neck down, they go up so that the sculpt isn't interrupted, the spines don't damage each other, and you can move them freely. They can pop off, so I recommend that you just don't pop it off, because if you lose one of these little ones, say in a carpet, it is over. I would be terrified of losing those pieces. So yeah, that's really cool. And to basically make him look up all the way, you just have to move the spines, and yeah. And he looks up pretty far, which looks so cool, because you can recreate the scene where he's fighting with the plane. And just in general, it's cool to have a Godzilla that can look up. He just looks very nice. And you could even recreate the scene where he's roaring up at the sky. That just looks so awesome. So here at the shoulders, we have a ball joint, really nice. And I like that this articulation is very smooth. And we have a ball joint here at the bicep. That's awesome. And we have an elbow ball joint, which looks great. And then I guess you could say like a slight swivel here. That looks great. Here we have a wrist ball joint, which is pretty great. And then here at the upper body, we have a ball joint, which moves so nice and freely. I just love that. It's very good. It can go up and down pretty nice. We have another one here at the waist. This one's a little bit tighter. It goes up and down pretty far. Really nice. And then we have a segment piece here, so that's to cover gaps. We have a ball joint here at the hips, which is really nice. You can get a really good spread there. That looks fantastic. We have a knee ball joint, but we also have a knee piece here to also cover up gaps. And then here at the ankle, we have a ball joint. And then for the first time in the Sh Monsterarts line, we have articulated toes. So we have ball joints on each of the toes. The biggest one moves the best. So yeah, you can spread his toes apart, move them up, move them down. I think that's really awesome, especially since in this movie, not only does he have big feet, but he also utilizes a lot of toe movement. So I think it's great that we actually got this. And this honestly makes it one of my favorite Godzilla figures. That's just so cool, especially since you get a lot of ground shots. So I think that's just awesome. And then at last we get to the tail, which is, each segment is on a ball joint, 17 ball joints. It's really posable and very nice. It goes up that far. Okay, well that popped off. But it goes down pretty far, as you can see. And it goes to the left and to the right pretty nicely. So I think that is fantastic, especially with the design of the spine. So yeah. So as I was saying earlier, it slightly feels limited because of the design, but honestly I think they did a fantastic job, because he's also very posable, and as you'll see later on in my photography pics, he can go on all fours. So honestly, He's pretty great. The tail moves really nicely. Overall, I like the articulation. It is done very well. Moving on to the sculpt and paint. So before we talk about anything, let me just say, be extremely careful with the spines. I probably should have said this at the articulation segment, but they are very thin, extremely fragile, and as you can see, they do bend a little bit. I'm gonna just glue that back in place after the review, but yeah, be extremely careful because they can break, and there has been some reported breakage, so just be careful with the figure as always. Just be extra careful with this guy because he's got a lot of fragile parts to him. So yeah, and the spines are very sharp, of course. So with that said and done, let's just look at the sculpt and paint. So Godzilla in this movie has a unique design, and he also has a unique look in that he is black but with a lot of color to him with like browns and greens, and I think this figure captures that pretty well, especially in the daytime scene. You can see that he's got a lot of browns on him, lots of peaches, and really nice colors that pop out amongst his black skin, and I think it's incorporated well into this figure. So something I have mentioned when I first saw this design was that he's kind of like a amalgamation of several different Godzilla designs, like the Showa spines, Heisei face, the Monsterverse colors, you know, GMK feet, stuff like that. And I think that's what makes this one of my favorite designs. So as you can see, this head is very Heisei-esque, and the detailing just looks fantastic here. You really get to see the inner flesh. It's very glossy with a lot of pinks. Those nasty looking teeth I think are very well done. And of course that flesh membrane looks great. The eyes are also fantastic, very fiery, full of life. He looks absolutely angry. I love that. The rosa spikes look nice, and you got a lot of that detailing with scales, armor plating, lots of segmentation and dots on him. He's got a lot of scars too, especially the eye scar, which I almost forgot to mention. So yeah, he looks very nice. Feels very nice too. Kind of feels like your traditional Monsterarts, if you know what I mean. And the plating here just looks nice. I like the dull brown dry brushing. That really just makes the figure just look so much like the character. It's subtle but nice. Some spots are heavier than others, like here at the toes, they are extremely brown. And then you have spots like the calves, which just aren't, well, barely painted, so there's that. And these spines I think just look fantastic, very thin. The webbing is absolutely great to see, and they even got the little hollow spaces at the center of the spine, which looks awesome. And the layering just looks great for such a thin and small spine design. And as they get smaller, it's still kept. And the tail, very thick and girthy. Lots of that same scaling too. The axe-like blades look fantastic and are extremely sharp. And that crocodilian-like detail just looks great. And the segmentation looks awesome. Bottom of the feet. So yeah, overall, I'm really pleased with this Godzilla's appearance. The sculpting and painting is wonderfully done, and I am in love with the appearance of this figure because it looks just like what we saw in the movie. So honestly, I praise the sculpt and paint because it looks fantastic. Very well done. So moving on to size, this Godzilla is basically the same size as every other Godzilla. Stub this toe there. He is 6.3 inches tall, so basically like the traditional Godzilla size. So now we will compare him to other monster art figures and figures in general that you may have. So here's a look at the Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla x Kong monster arts, some Haya figures, playmates because you probably have those, and much, much more. He will stand well amongst other characters and figures in your collection. He looks very nice, very size proportionate, and overall he is proportioned well, so he looks like he did in the movie. So he stands very well next to other characters, and I really do like the size 6.3 inches. It's kind of like a go-to, you know, the perfect scale, at least to me. Other scales are fine too, but I just like the 6-inch figures now. Let's just hope that we get some accessories to justify that price point because wow, it's huge. Speaking of, this guy usually goes for $140. I got him on Amazon for basically the same price, but he can also be found on Big Bad Toy Store, eBay, you know, your traditional sites. So yeah, with the review over, is he worth picking up? I would say so. It is an excellent figure. The appearance is fantastic and pretty accurate to the model used in film. He looks really great and was sculpted by Yuji Sakai and looks awesome. He has a lot of detail and painting on him, which just looks majestic. The painting is very intriguing and he looks so beautiful. He looks lifelike almost. I just love all the little bits to him with all the layering, the scales, the segmentation. It all looks really great. It just feels very nice and poses really well. The articulation is honestly wonderful. Some spots are a little stiffer than others in my opinion. He is capable of pulling off some pretty great poses that just bring the figure to life. I do wish there were some accessories like a train or some explosion effects or an atomic breath, but they're probably saving that for a variant, which would be so cool to have. Let's just hope that's coming soon because that would be awesome. I do recommend picking him up though because he looks like he did in the movie and he looks great, poses great. He is honestly just such a fantastic figure to have. Thank you all so much for watching and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.